is Susan Marlowe, and I'm an artist from the North Carolina Blue Ridge Mountains. And I'm working on a painting today. It's a carousel painting. And the way it got started was a painting that I did several years ago called Carousel. And it turned out to me so busy, there was so much going on in the painting that almost made my stomach hurt. But there were lots of parts of the paintings that I liked. And one of the parts that I liked was the painting that I'm working on today. So I focused on the figure in the swan drawn carriage, if you will, and have a few of the elements from the carousel in there, but not all of them. I started with the Cheap Joe's Cradled board, the 2-inch border. I like to use these boards because they don't require any framing, and sometimes the framing I feel competes with the painting as well. It's an extra expense for artists, and personally I like the look of having the cradled painting the best. It's what I use almost exclusively now. I started out by gessoing my panel white on the front and then black gesso on the sides, and that is actually going to be, I'll have to do some touch up on the black, but as I've painted, some of my paint has dripped over it, but that will be easy to do, and that will be my finished edge actually. So I started out with a very loose pencil sketch right onto the gesso. I don't really mind if the pencil marks show through the original work, but I don't think that they will in this particular case. But anyway, it's a very loose pencil drawing right on the painting. Sometimes I don't do a drawing, I just jump into painting, and sometimes I do a drawing with a paintbrush. So then I started applying golden fluid acrylics are my preferred paints to use almost exclusively, with the exception I do like to use Joe's Prime, really good Lightfast acrylic in certain situations as well. I really am fond of particularly their warm yellow color in that line, which I used a lot in this painting. So I started out by just putting different layers with the golden fluid acrylic and particularly the warm yellow Lightfast acrylic on, and made some changes as I went along, as you can see. My goal was to have this be a very warm painting. I want it to be a happy painting. This is a painting that will be a gift for my sister for her wedding. To me, the elements of the painting use a lot of symbolism, which is sort of my personal symbolism. Most people who know me know I like to use cows a lot. There's lots of different reasons for that, but one thing that I do feel like a cow symbolizes to me is steadfastness. That's an important message for them in their marriage. The swan, to me, symbolizes grace, horse passion, and the dog is protection. There are 5 rays of light coming from their carriage, and that symbolizes their 5 daughters, collective daughters. Today, I'm at the place where I want to have some fun. What's really fun is embellishing and collaging things in. So I'm at that place where I want to do some of that. Some things are already on, like you can see this pattern right here is from, this is a piece of cardboard that's got a wavy raised edge to it. So I just put some gesso on it and stamped it on. Some other ideas for texturing are, this is a plastic tablecloth that I've cut, and you can also just apply paint and stamp that on. This is the inside of a Chinese umbrella. This is the part that holds the umbrella. This is the top of the umbrella. So I'm always looking for anything that will give me some texture. This has been, I need a new one, but this has been a great thing for texture. So you just put your paint on here and just roll it. So let's start with that. I'm going to use a little gesso. I use gesso for my white and also black gesso for my black. So I'm just going to start with a little white gesso on this and see how I like it. I don't really ever worry about if something turns out that I don't like. You know, I'll just paint over it, and that's the beauty of having using acrylic paint. So I think I want this along the top edge here. Kind of gives, I think, a bit of a, adds to that effect of a ray in the middle of the more distinct rays. And to me, this little tool is, these little marks are just sort of energy to me. They represent energy. Just having that. And you see, I'm really not worried it's getting some on some of the painting below. And if I really want to, I can take it off with my trusty paint eraser, which is alcohol. Alcohol on a Q-tip. So now I think I'm actually wanting to make this go all the way, the whole. So you can see I haven't planned this out. So it's just, I'm pretty spontaneous. I do have ideas that I work from, but a lot of things just happen as I'm actually painting, which I find to be pretty exciting. Another thing that I do is, this probably sounds a little bit crazy, but I love to just lay in the dark and visualize things. So I feel like I'm a very visual person, and the dark is a perfect place to let things, you get this perfect blank canvas and you can just sort of visually think about whatever it is you're working on or want to work on. So that's how it works for me anyway. And sometimes I get, well, I feel like everything's pretty much a gift, but I feel like I get gifted by an image that I'm pretty excited about. But I think always being open and aware of visual images around you is good. You can always get ideas from whatever you're doing in your life, whether you're working or painting or playing or sleeping, trying to sleep. So I may go back in through this when this dries and sort of accentuate the warm yellow between those 5 rays so that they stand out a little bit better, but overall I'm pretty happy with that effect. And I'm not concerned about those marks getting on the other places at all, the animals or anything. Another thing that's good for textures is you can get pieces of wallpaper, embossed wallpaper. I think this is the same one. You can tell it's been well used. I probably need to find some more of that wallpaper to. So I like to do sort of repetitive things. I think that if something is in one place in a painting, I don't want to really overdo it, but I think it's interesting to have it repeated someplace else. So I'm just going to put, this is a little bit more of a floral print. I'm going to just put it on some of the animals, their heads and their rumps, just to give them a little sparkle. Ooh, that was too much. So no problem. We can wipe it off, or I can use my alcohol if I want to, but that was too thick for what I wanted. It didn't show the pattern. Oh, it's gone. So we'll try again. I might just get a little bit of that paint off. Okay. Much better. Perfect. Put one on her shoulder. Okay. I like to use letters and writing in my paintings, messages. Sometimes they get covered up or partially covered up, and that's just fine. They're still there. And even if just part of them show, I think that adds interest. Probably more interest if they're not just totally apparent, like this will be right now, but I'll probably cover them up a little bit. Okay, this is a stamp set that is actually an antique, was used in a one-room schoolhouse in Kentucky, and my husband was lucky enough to have been gifted it, and I was lucky enough that he lets me use it. But the letters are back, the stamp set is back to Roosevelt's time, and he was the president on the stamp set. So these letters are just, I think, yummy. Nice and old and beautiful letters. And I use these a whole lot in my work. So I like to put words that are important to me or important to the painting to me. So this, I'm actually, since these swans represent grace, physical grace as well as grace that is being received, I wanted to just put that letter in right on them, but I will probably cover it up with a little something so it's not quite so glaring. Another thing that I like to do is use a lot of music. I'm a piano player, and I like music. Sometimes I'll use the music and I'll cut a shape, like a shape of a bird, out of the music and just put it right in, or put the music right in. This particular painting, I wanted to use the notes transparently. So what I did was I applied Golden's clear tar gel. Just to the front of the music, not to the back, just the front of it. So then after you've done that, you do a couple layers of that, and you soak that in water, and then you can rub off the back of the paper, and what you'll have is the clear plastic image of the of whatever it is you're copying. So it's a transfer. It's acrylic transfer. And I wanted to be able to read the writing on this, so I didn't want it to be reversed. So this is a good way to do it if you don't want the painting. There's lots of different methods to doing this, but this is one method where you don't have to reverse the image in doing it. So this particular piece of music says, slowly and dreamily. So I thought that would be a good thing to put in here. I haven't quite decided where to put it, so I'm going to figure out if I want to give that swan a little headdress with it, kind of like that. And then I have another one that has the title of the music is Dream Waltz. Not sure where that might go. I don't want it to be, I want it to blend in. I don't want it to be too obvious. I do think I like Slowly and Dreamily on there. And then I have a larger piece that's the Wedding March from A Midsummer's Night Dream that I believe I'll fit onto their carriage, and then it's got some music. So I think I'll somehow arrange that. Might even put it upside down so it's not quite so in your face. But when I take the paper off, this will be transparent. Okay, so I've got Dream Waltz still to work with. Let me put it aside. I'm not sure where it will go. That might, who knows? I thought the name of this might be Wedding Carousel, but the name of the painting might be Dream Waltz. But things are evolving, so we'll see. So the way I'm going to apply this bit of music to this swan here, I think I will use the Golden Extra Heavy Gel, because it's a little bit heavier collage than just like a tissue paper. I would just use the binder medium, but because this is a little heavier, I'm going to just use it. Notice I'm going right over the embellishment I just stamped on her top of her head, but it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. There, slowly and dreamily. I also like to collect like dictionaries or thesaurus, and either make copies or make transfers of words that I'm interested in putting in a painting. That's another fun thing to do. And we go. Quite happy with that. I think actually I might just put music along the rest of her back. Don't have it ready to do today, but I think now that I see this, I'll probably prepare some more music and put it along the whole rest of her back. And I'll do the same for the male swan. He'll have some music on his head too. So I think that will tie it in, and then I'm going to put this music here once I get the back of it off, so it'll be transparent and you can still see the coach that they're in. Another thing I want to do is put these circles along the front, partly because the couple that I'm doing this painting for are big cyclist fans. So to me this would have meaning to them for their lifestyle, for what they love to do together. And I'm going to use Joe's binder medium, because this is a real light tissue, so it doesn't need a heavy medium to get it on there. I'm just going to apply these tissue circles. I think adds a visual interest and also a personal interest for this couple. And then, since I've got these circles in the front, they also, to me, sort of look like carousel lights. And I want to be careful I don't get too busy, because I remember that the other painting was, I got carried away and was so busy that I couldn't take it. So I want to try and not let that happen again. But I do want to repeat that idea of the balls in the back of the carousel, but since that's the back, they'll be smaller. So I'm not going to use that same thing, but I'm going to use a circle stamp along the back to just repeat that circle. I do like circles a lot. I use circles a lot. I don't want to do it over, so that one got a little bit thicker than the others, but I think that's it. 5 circles in front, 5 circles in the back, 5 rays of light, perfect. Okay, well, that's just an idea of some ways to embellish your painting and collage on your painting. Thanks for checking in.